Hi, this is Frida. I would like to show you how to knit the edges of the cardigan while knitting up and picking up stitches. There are several ways to do the edges, but I like this method. It gives a professional look onto the cardigan. And then we need to use small needles on this particular part. So what we do is we cast on about 10 stitches, and then from here we pick up stitches, and then we knit the 2 stitches together, and then go on from there all the way up. And later on, to do the collar, I have another tutorial. Please do follow up with my tutorials and how to knit the collar, the shawl collar. And I have another tutorial how to sew the zipper. So please stay tuned. Please share it with your family and friends, my tutorials. Like them, comment them below if you have any thoughts or feelings about my tutorials. Thank you very much. And let's get started to do the edge of the cardigan. I have done one part of the edges of the cardigan. Okay, let's get started. Okay, I'm knitting with a circular needle that I have knitted. I like working on circular needles. It depends on what you like to work with. So this is my preference. I like to work with needles that I have long. Okay, so I'm just not going to knit the first stitch. Knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. And for the last stitch, I'm just gonna move it to here without knitting or purling. Cast on. For this particular cardigan that I'm knitting, I'm going to be casting on 10 stitches, and the needles that I'm using is to do the edge part of the cardigan is 2 needles smaller than the needles that I have knit on the body. For example, if I knit it with a size 6 needle for the body, for the edge I will be knitting with a size 4. If it's a size 4, the body that I knit, the needles would be size 2. So it depends on what you're knitting. Okay, so that's 2. Oops, let's start over. And this is how I cast on. 2, 4, 6, 6, 8, 10 stitches. So I don't knit the first stitch, just so knit the second stitch, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, and knit the last stitch. This is the wrong side of the work, and this is the right side of the work. This is the front right side of the cardigan. So this is the underarm here, and this is the collar that I'm going to be knitting the shawl collar. So this part that we're going to be working on. So I needed 10 stitches. Just dropped it, clumsy me. And this is the 10 stitches that I started with. You can either pick up stitches, this side, pick up stitches and work, or you can knit separate and then sew them together, which I hate sewing. So this is the idea that I've been working on, working as I'm knitting. I am adding this part to this, so later on I wouldn't be sewing and having a hard time if it's long or short, this edge. So what I do is, we left the last without knitting, the last stitch. So I'm going to be picking up a stitch from here. This is the beginning. The zipper is going to be on here. So I'm going to be sewing the zipper on this part. So I'm just going to grab here a stitch between here, just as to knit. Just grab a stitch and pull it between these two stitches. Here we go. And then we're going to be knitting these two stitches, the one that we didn't knit. So we're going to be, the first stitch is going to be tough, but it's going to be way easy at the end. Or you can use a crochet hook if you wish, which sometimes help. Which I have here, any kind of crochet hook that would help. So you can just put this between and pull this, and then just let it. Okay, I'm going to show you this over again. This time I'm going to use a crochet hook and it's going to be way easy. Remember the last stitch that we didn't knit? So we're going to put the yarn on the back as to knit, and we'll hold it like this with the crochet hook. Just grab a stitch from here at the beginning as to knit. Just grab it like that and put it on your needle. So right now we had total of 10 stitches, right? And now when we added that stitch, we have 11 stitch, which we don't need that 11 stitch. So we're just going to get rid of that 11 stitch. So how to do that? We're going to be knitting these two stitches all together at once. But because of the first stitch, it's tough to use the needle. I'm just going to use the crochet hook to show you how easy it is. And we're just going to pull it like that. So we have total of 8 stitches, and put this work together. Put this back on the needle, and now we're going to be, as regular, going to be knitting. So that one, the stitch that we have knit, we're just going to move that to the other needle because that one's already knit. Then we're going to be purl. Just follow the stitches as you would on your regular knitting. Purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit. And then turn your work. Okay, so If you wish, you can just use a regular needle. Like I said, it's your own preference. The first stitch I'm not knitting. Just carry on to the other needle. Knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, and carry on this stitch as if to knit, but don't knit. And we're going to be grabbing another stitch. When you're picking up stitches while you're doing the edges, we always skip the next stitch and then we go to the other one. Otherwise, if we do each stitch, it would be so tight here. So we're going to be skipping this second. So we're going to come straight here and grab as to knit, or you can use your crochet hook. It's way easier. And then put this on the needle as if to knit. And then together we had 10 stitches. We're picking up another stitch, that's 11. So we don't want 11 stitches. We need to have 10. So together we're just going to knit, knit, grab it from the back, the yarn, and pull together. Pull together, and then put this stitch back to the needle. Continue doing this as long as you wish, and I'll meet you a couple of rows. Okay, I have knitted a couple of rows. Just wanted to show you how it looks like, and you can weave the edges this later on, so this won't be hanging here. I'll show you how to do that as well. So continue knitting all the way up to the collar. I'm going to show you again how it's done. Like at the beginning, we picked up the stitch and knit those two together, and here there's 10 stitches here total, so the 10th we don't knit, and what we do is we pick up a stitch, we continue knitting. When we're coming back here, we skip. Instead of picking up here, we skip this one and then pick up a stitch from the top. So instead of picking from here, I'm going to be skipping this, and then I'm going to be picking up from here. And put the stitch on this needle, and we're going to knit these two stitches together. And when you knit those two stitches together, this part will look like a knit, and it would be included on the elastic of the edge. And it will look like a machine made, but it's made out of handmade. Okay, so we turn our work. This stitch, we can put it back to the needle, or you can carry it on, either way. We turn our work. We do not knit that two stitches that we have knitted together. So we're going to continue knitting all the way to the edge. So a total of 10 stitches should be on your needle. So this was purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit. And continue on, and I'll show you how to hide this this yarn. Continue knitting, and I'll be back. So far I have knitted this much. You can see the 2 stitches that we have knit. Looks like a knit stitch. So I'm just going to show you how to weave this part. So I'm just going to secure this part as if it belongs to the stitch. See, it's invisible. And just weave it. Just pick up stitches. Just weave it like this. Just wanted to share it with you, how to knit the edge while picking up stitch, to show as it was machine made. Then you can just cut this part. Voila, done.